Welcome, everyone, to Talented Universe for this glorious day in October, October 9th, 2024. I'd like to welcome all of our listeners and viewers out there on the internet. We welcome you to the show. If you have any questions for Danny, make sure you put them in the chat room and we can throw them up and Danny can answer them. But first, I would like to welcome my co-host, Vernon. How are you doing, Vernon, today?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Mike. I trust everyone tuning in is also doing well. It's been a nice chilly day here in Cape Town, South Africa. But all's well, and very excited for our chat with Danny. So do us the honors, Mike, and tell the watchers what's going
what? Yeah.
what's going down.
Yeah, well, I would like to welcome Danny Joseph from season 26 of The Voice.
Yeah.
Danny, how are you doing today?
Doing good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on. Really excited.
Oh, well, we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Mean, you're let's see, 1, 2, 3. You're like our third guest from The Voice season 26 so far. So we're really excited. New season, new voices. Before we get started, I mean, I thought 2 seasons ago it was crazy with how many 4-chair turns there were. And I think so far they've had 4 for the episodes of the Blind Audition. I think there's more 4-chair turns than there were that season. I mean, the competition is fierce this year.
Yep.
Did you feeling that also?
Yeah, definitely. Being there for the last few weeks, I think, there's a lot of very unique artists that have auditioned this year and very unique voices. Some of the best singers I think I've ever heard in my life. It's crazy staying in the hotel and as you walk down the hallway, you hear them just coming out the walls. So it can be pretty intimidating as well, but it's a lot of fun, So yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a lot of amazing singers this year, and I think that's reflected in the coaches turning. They want them on their teams.
Well, yeah, and they did, and I mean, and then that new thing with the now I forget what they call it.
The block.
No, not the block. The one when the replay when they don't get a chair turn and then a coach regrets not turning. I just think that changed everything this season, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. I think
because I've seen it previous seasons that they do regret. They go, I should have turned. Why didn't I turn? And now they have a chance to redeem themselves.
Right. Yeah.
But I'll go ahead and let Vernon ask a question. Then I'm going to go to the chat room. So
yeah. No, Danny. First of all, I briefly told you before we came on, but I'm a fan. Of what I've heard so far. I've only heard one song, but I can already tell that you got the music inside of you, sir. And
thank you.
Yeah, it's just such a just a partner of yours, and you guys go well together. And I mean, I just really enjoy what you did on that specific song. And we're definitely going to get into that. But can you maybe just give us and everyone watching just a brief little introduction to yourself, and we'll obviously get more into specific topics, but just who's Danny Joseph and where you're from and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, Danny Joseph. Yeah, I'm from London, UK. So that's where I was born and raised. And, I started playing guitar when I was 7 years old. My dad plays guitar. And when I was a little kid, I tried to pick up his guitar, but my hands were too small, probably about this big. So he got me a small guitar the Christmas of 1994. That's when I picked it up. And I remember the first thing I picked out by ear was the James Bond theme tune. And then he taught me Ray Charles, What I'd Say. And then from there, I was just hooked, and from an early age. Back then, there wasn't social media. There wasn't the internet. There was only 4 channels on television. So there wasn't as much things to do in the 90s for a kid. I wasn't so big into video games. So for me, it was playing guitar and picking stuff up by ear, So that's kind of my musical background. I started playing guitar and, as I got older, started to write songs and record them. And naturally, when you start recording your voice, the first thing I was like, wow, I sound terrible. So,
Yeah.
and
I feel that. I feel that.
yeah, I still feel that now, you know. And I remember it
Mhm.
would take hours to get one phrase in tune, you know, on a recording.
Yeah.
And I just felt, you know, I don't have a talent for this, man. I'm just a guitar player and I can write songs and, you know, play bass and a bit of piano. And it was mainly out of the desire of singing my own songs that I recorded my voice more and more, that I learned how much I loved singing. And since then, I've never looked back. You know, I used to busk on the London Underground when I was at university for extra money, and played hundreds, I feel, of open mics and band gigs with my band. And that was back in London in the UK. So many, many years. It's just, you know, just a testament to not quitting. I think a lot of people probably would have quit. I loved it too much to quit. And same as I moved here again, I just continued, and, you know, here I am today.
And it's been 10 years in the USA.
Yeah, it's a little over 9 years now. So yeah, nearly 10 years. So yeah,
Okay.
it's been great.
And you still obviously have family back in the UK that you visit from time to time?
Yeah, I have my parents there who we visit. We have 3 kids now, so it's a little more difficult to travel back and forth as much as we used to. But it's, you know, they come here and we go there at least once or twice a year.
Amazing. And who were some of those musical inspirations that, like you said, you picked up the guitar at 7, but did you have specific references that you said, okay, I want to emulate this person,
Right.
or I like the sound of this band?
Yeah, I think the first thing I ever was exposed to was the Beatles. My dad bought me some of the tapes back then, and I was, you know, hooked. The songwriting was amazing, and even as a kid, it resonated with my ear. So that was the first thing I ever kind of fell in love with musically. Guitar-wise, it was probably Carlos Santana. That was the first guitar player. I was 12 years old when the album Supernatural came out, and that album kind of reignited and revived his career. So I remember playing along by ear, picking up all those licks. And there was a point when I was 12, 13 years old, I was able to literally play every lick on that album just by ear.
Nice.
So he was my first inspiration. And then, you know, as I kept playing, it kind of went into the heavy metal kind of side of things when I was probably 13, 14, 15, the Metallica and the Megadeth and the Yngwie Malmsteen, the shredding. And then as I kind of got older, you know, late teens, early 20s, it was more into the blues. You know, you're kind of the Stevie Ray Vaughns and the Albert Kings, the Freddie Kings, and those guys. And, you know, I think a lot of times you find your own sound by trying to emulate someone else and failing. And I think it's just, as musicians, we are a sponge for everything we've ever listened to. And it just comes out in its own unique way. And probably people can hear, oh, he sounds a bit like this or a bit like that. And it's just, you know, you're a combination of your influences.
Yeah, absolutely. And how cool is it that all of those different phases that you go through, like you say, at a certain stage it was heavy metal, at a certain stage it was blues. How cool is it that all of those things then come together, like you say, and then it makes your unique sound? You bring all of those together.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's one of those things, being a musician, you know, you shouldn't overthink too much. Just let music fill your subconscious. And as I've gotten older, I've learned to appreciate all genres of music, because there's something we can take from everything, you know, and kind of pull it out of our own creativity. And yeah, as I've gotten older, I've definitely gotten a broader appreciation of music.
Amazing.
Let me go to some of the questions. You answered a couple of these, and I'm sure they're going to go, but let me just start with one of the ARC-54's first thing. Says, Danny, I really love the sound of your voice. You're able to bring the dirty sound to down and dirty blues, and it's wonderful.
Thank you.
And her follow-up was, is what artist influenced you? You kind of said that, but then ARC-54 says, I hear a lot of Sam Cooke and even Chris Stapleton, amongst others.
Yeah, I mean, I have a few Sam Cooke songs in my set. I have one or two Chris Stapleton songs in my set. Yeah, I mean, I grew up listening to Sam Cooke, Marvin Gaye, you know, Wilson Pickett, Lee Moses, a lot of those kind of soulful guys. And, you know, yeah, I love them, especially the live stuff from Sam Cooke. You know, the recordings, I don't think even show how good his voice was. When you actually do a deep dive on some of his his live recordings from the 60s. I mean, he was an incredible singer, an incredible writer, and it's just a shame he didn't live long enough, because, like, I really would love to have seen what he would have continued to create if he had lived longer.
Yeah. And Aisha, she is actually in the UK.
Oh, nice.
She says, have you ever listened to or even enjoyed J-pop or K-pop?
I mean, yeah, I have listened to it, being the age I am, 37, it's probably not something that I come into contact a lot. My eldest son is 6, so he's still not really at the age where he's interested into music so much, but I have seen it before. I can appreciate everything, I'm sure, that I know, like, it's become very successful worldwide. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of the Spice Girls in the UK, where they just had very catchy songs, and ultimately it's all about the songs. So I'm sure K-pop and J-pop has songs that are catchy, that speak to millions and billions of people. So yeah, I can appreciate anything and everything at this stage of my life.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, and I'll do one more question, then we'll see what's going on. Was moving from the UK to Texas a cultural shock? That's from Elizabeth Cooper.
Huge culture shock, yes. I mean, we speak the same language, I think, but I think culturally, the British and the Americans are more different than I realized when we came here. The Americans don't tend to get sarcasm like us Brits do. So I've gotten myself into trouble a lot, cracking a joke, and the other person has thought that I was being serious, but I was 100% joking. But now that I've been here so long, I feel it's, I've kind of blended in more, I think. Now people say I don't sound British anymore. They think I'm Australian because my accent's probably a transatlantic kind of thing.
I would agree with that. Yeah. I was gonna. That was one of my questions I was seeing you guys.
Yeah. So yeah,
because
I'd say,
I don't hear the British. I hear, and I was thinking, what is that? And I go, it does sound like Australian. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Australians will sound more like that. Everything kind of goes
a little bit, but it depends.
But an Australian would definitely say I don't sound Australian. But it's interesting. For some reason, that's the first thing people think here. I think because the notion of English accents is kind of warped by shows like Downton Abbey. Nobody sounds like that in England, especially not. Nobody talks like that in London. Yeah. So I think that's the perspective of the English accent. So, but I know mine has now kind of.
Well, because I mean, you sound, one of our other co-hosts for one of our other shows is in Australia,
right?
In Perth, and so I now when that registered, I go, that is what it is. Yeah, there we go. Now I'm getting the echo again.
Right.
Okay.
There you go.
But that's what it is. So
yeah, culture.
Sound like he does. Yeah.
I think the distances between places is a big thing. In London, you can walk everywhere, get on public transport, and pretty much go anywhere. But over here, it's a short journey is 30 minutes, whereas in the UK, that's a long drive. So
yeah,
definitely very different.
Well, especially when you were in Los Angeles, that's even more.
Oh yeah. A short drive is 2 miles is 30 minutes. So,
yeah. Mm-hmm. And that can be the same thing in DC too. So
yep, it can be. Yeah.
That's usually why if I'm going downtown, I take the subway. So,
right. Yeah.
But you just get used to what you're used to. So
yeah.
Let me grab one more question. This is basically a statement. Elizabeth Cooper says, I got a chance to hear your cover of Patsy Cline's Crazy. I'm very picky when someone else does it, but I loved how you rearranged it. On that note, as a 13-year-old, what made you want to sing, songwrite, and produce your own work?
Well, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to listen to that recording. I played that song live in my set now for a couple of years. Always loved that song. We kind of do it in a kind of more bluesy rock and roll way, maybe a little bit faster. So I appreciate the compliments. And to address the second point, as a 13-year-old, I bought my parents bought me a very little kind of 8-track recorder, digital thing. And it was on a zip disk back then. Back in
the zip drives.
Zip drive, yeah.
I've got one in the other room. I'd hate to admit it, but
yeah. So that was back in the year 2000, and it was just more out of interest. I had these songs in my head and I wanted to put them down. And, you'd put a guitar down. They had a built-in drum machine into it, and then an effect on there which could make the bass sound like a guitar. Sorry, the guitar sound like a bass. And then I'd add my vocals and backing vocals and some keys. I never thought about being a producer or anything like that. It was just a way of getting the ideas out of your head onto something and be able to hear it back. So for me, even as a kid, that was just an amazing thing that, something in your mind that you can conceive, you can put it into something and hear it back at you. And I never lost that love. That's 13 years. I was 13 years old, and, over 20 years later, I'm still doing it.
Yeah. Okay.
I also think it's one of the coolest things, just being able to create. I think we were made to also keep on creating, and that's the cool thing about. I'm also dabbling in production for the last 4 years, and just to have this opportunity, and it's obviously come a very, very long way since then, like you said. But to have opportunity to assemble different sounds, whether it is like sample based or just organic, instruments that you're playing in. It's so cool to assemble that, and it's become a lot more mainstream. So there's so many bedroom studios, a lot more people that can, at least at the very bottom end of it, just get ideas out to the next person that can maybe help them in the chain. So that's also such a cool thing.
I think it's the future, because studio time is so expensive.
It is.
And every time I went into a studio, I felt rushed. You were rushed to get the vocals down at the end. The vocals were done last. And there was one time, me and my dad went to the kind of north of England to studio time for a week. We finished 5 songs, and literally I had a 1-hour window at the end to smash out the vocals for 5 songs. My voice felt terrible. There was allergies, whatever. And that's it. So I took it home and redid the vocals at home. And then, mixing costs a lot of money, sending it to a mix engineer. So I just was like, what, from a financial standpoint, I'd rather invest in the gear myself and learn how to do it. And, it's a long learning curve, and I'm still learning, but it gives you a kind of freedom. It's very liberating to know that you can finish something that you hear in your head without having to spend thousands of dollars on it.
Yeah. And like you said, being on the spot, because now you time bound and you're like, okay, I have to get this done rather than get it proper.
Right.
So it's to have that freedom is very cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think
anything from your side, Mike?
Yeah. Well, I've got some other, but I was wondering, do you think that this experience so far has helped you in your career, or can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, Vernon.
I hear that breaking up a bit.
Okay, yeah, you faded out there for a little while, Vernon, so I was wondering what was going on. But do you think that this experience so far has helped
I think it's
your career,
breaking up
Danny?
a bit,
Sorry, Mike, can you say that again?
Yeah, I said, has this experience so far in the voice helped your career? Learning how.
I think in the meantime it will probably get stable again. But I was also wondering about just. Did that raw?
Yeah, I think Vernon's good.
Yeah,
he might have to go. He might have to reboot. So let me.
Yeah,
Vernon,
that's a new one. We don't usually have like a lagging thing or a buffering thing. Danny, I was just wondering about your tone of voice. Like, did that raspiness develop over time, or was it just straight up like when you started that was kind of how your voice came out?
I think it's one of those things. It's probably a combination of the two. It's I have recordings of myself live at 17, 18 years old, and the tone was similar. I wasn't as good of a singer back then. There was the technical side of things that had to develop. I think it's one of those things once you put a certain amount of air pressure behind a note, and that's kind of what comes out now. I don't know if that kind of voice is ever fully natural for anyone. I do think it's probably more natural for some people than it is others. So I think it's just as you get older, you learn how to control it and kind of exploit it. My understanding, it's most likely because the vocal cords don't fully touch, so air passes through, and that's just, you know, all of us as humans, our vocal cords have irregularities. You know, it's just part of being human. And I think when you put a certain amount of air pressure behind it, those irregularities become more pronounced. So yeah, I think it's a combination of factors. You know, it's yeah, you know, my dad has a similar tone. You know, our voices sound pretty similar, so it's I'm sure some of it is hereditary too.
And was he also like into music?
Yeah, he plays guitar, and you know, he was the one who introduced me to music in the beginning, and you know, he was leading worship at the church, and you know, wrote songs, and yeah, he introduced me to all the kind of classic songs that I play today.
Awesome. I don't know if we have Mike back on a stable connection yet. Mike, are you there?
Stable, but
maybe not. No, otherwise, I'm sorry that I can't.
I can hear Mike. I can hear you both.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay.
I can hear both. Yeah.
Yeah, this.
Okay. Maybe it's just my side.
Hey, it's your side, Vernon. Let me do this. I'm gonna have him reboot, so because he's lost something. I don't know what it is, but I'll tell him to come back. But Danny, now I'm trying to get now I remember what question I asked. But
I think it was about, do you feel that the show has
helped your career, just, or because we kind of were saying off screen when walking down the hall and hearing everybody singing in the hotel.
Right. Yeah.
How has that influenced you, or with other people's genres that they like? Has that influenced you at all? Meeting other singers?
Like I don't think I've been influenced by other singers as such from being on the show. You know, a lot of my influences have just been over many years of, now I think I've found kind of my niche or my lane. So I don't know if I as much get influenced by another singer, so to speak. I mean, it's hard to say really for sure. But in regards of, you know, has the show kind of helped me? You know, they've aired, one episode has been aired, and yeah, I feel there was a really good response on social media, you know, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. I've definitely met many more people through that. And I did a show the other day, and a number of people that I don't know turned up to see me because they had seen me on The Voice. So it was great to, you know, meet people that you wouldn't have met if you weren't on the show. So in answer to your question, yes, I definitely think even from the one episode, there's been a good response, and I'm excited to share this journey with everybody and hopefully keep going.
Yeah, well, let me say we did have some.
And what was your thought process in choosing a coach? Like, obviously, all of them had something to offer.
Yeah, I mean,
and,
you know, yeah.
And one was blocked out. Of course, Michael Bublé didn't have the chance. So
right. Yeah, you know, I kind of had my heart set on Reba beforehand. You know, she's had a very long and successful career, and you know, she's had longevity, and that's something we as musicians all want. So I knew that there was some wisdom and things I could learn from her, just as much from all of them. I didn't expect 4 chairs to turn, so that obviously kind of can throw you off in the moment. You know, Snoop turned first and he blocked Michael. So my head was like, should I pick Snoop? But my heart was still set on Reba. And, you know, that's the decision I made. And yeah, it's been great so far.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And how has she been so far in terms of just guidance? Is she very involved?
Yeah, nice, very much so. Yeah, great to work with. You know, she makes you feel very comfortable straight away, which is great. You know, she's been in this industry and this business for a very long time. So there's a lot you can learn from her. And yeah, it's been great to work with, very encouraging, and, you know, instills you with confidence, kind of, you know, just pretty much lets me be me. And that's, so far, it's been a really great journey.
Amazing.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you, Michael. Now.
Yeah, now I had the microphone
Now,
off.
there you go.
Now it's back on.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, Vernon, or no? No, he cannot. So I sent him a text message, so I don't know what's going on. But as I said, we have some likes in the chat room, and I wanted to, from Aisha Care, Tiffany Weiss, Elizabeth Olivia Cooper, and Belinda Kersey. Thank you all very much for giving us a like. We do appreciate it. If you do have any more questions out there in the chat, please post them up. Aisha does ask, do you think Buddy Holly has influenced you in any way as either a songwriter or as a singer?
Awesome.
And yes, those damn colonials don't get us Brits.
Yeah, Buddy Holly, I wouldn't say he's influenced me in any way. But you know what? I mean, he was, from my understanding, one of the first artists of his day to actually write and perform his own songs. Because I think before then, songwriters were one thing and singers were something else. So my understanding of him is that he was one of the first. And I know that he influenced the Beatles a lot. So, and the Beatles influenced me. So I guess there's definitely been some indirect influence there. And there's a cool movie about Buddy Holly as well. And again, it's so sad how early he died. You know, he was only 22 years old, you know, when his plane went down. And, you know, again, it's like, he's one of those people, like many others, that you wish lived longer, because you just know they would have continued to have such an impact on the music we hear today. Because even in their short career, they had such an impact. So, you know, imagine if he'd lived a full lifespan. I mean, it would have been amazing to see what he would have created. So, yeah, I got a lot of respect for all of those guys. You know, Elvis, Buddy Holly, Eddie Cochran, all those blues guys, the rockabilly. Because end of the day, you know, that influenced the Beatles. The Beatles influenced a lot of what we hear today.
That is true. That is true.
Oh no, that's crazy. You say he died at 22. So how long was he active in the industry then?
I think only 2 years or something. Yeah, you know, maybe it
That's
was a very short career, but influential career. So it just, you know, it goes to show. Imagine if, you know, and the same with the Beatles. The Beatles were only a band for 8 years, you know, but
crazy.
look what they created, you know. Yeah,
absolutely. Tell us a bit about your family. And what I want to know is, did you meet your wife when you moved to the US, or did you know each other from like chatting across the pond or whatever?
Yeah, we met at a church conference nearly 11 years ago now. So it was a long distance relationship for a couple of years. And then, you know, we knew we wanted to get married. It made more sense for me to come here than her go there. And so, yeah, we were long distance for a while, making trips, few trips a year. It gets expensive. You can't keep doing it forever. So, yeah, I came here in 2015, and then we got married later that year. So it's coming up to 9 years of marriage. And then we have 3 kids. There's 2 boys and a girl. The eldest is 6. The other son will turn 3 in November. And then we have a baby girl who is 6 months.
Okay, and I read a cool story about you delivering your little girl.
Yeah, the daughter. Yeah, we had 2 of the births at home with midwives, and you know, the 3rd baby came a lot quicker than we thought. You know, it was once she started getting into the whole like, okay, it's coming. It's like it came real quick. So I was just in the right place at the right time, ready to catch her. So. You know, it was very scary because, you know, obviously I caught my other 2 sons, but I was surrounded by midwives and, you know, professionals. So you have that kind of safety blanket, but there wasn't this time. So I was on the phone, loudspeaker to the midwife, and I just kind of caught her and rested her on my wife until the midwife came, and then I cut the cord. So it was scary at the time because, you know, you're just seeing this baby kind of slowly come out, and it's, you know, it's amazing but scary at the same time. So
I can imagine.
Yeah,
I can imagine. But at least you handle pressure well then. Like obviously,
I think you know
that's a very unique situation.
I know, you know, I just think as humans, you know, there's a fatherly, motherly parent instinct that just kicks in, and it overrides anything else. So it was very scary, but we made it.
Okay. Awesome. And did you ever serve in church as well in terms of just worship?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, grew up in church my whole life, and I
Awesome.
currently every Sunday, I play at my church here in Dallas, which is amazing. It's family to me. They're family to my wife and everything, and yeah, I mean, amazing musicians and yeah, lifelong friends, and yeah, I love it.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Danny, I am going to go out and log back in again. I'm hoping then Vernon can hear me.
We actually can. I can hear you now. So
Oh, good.
I false alarm, and I'm getting hopeful, but I can hear you at the moment.
Okay, good. Yay! Because it was like, I'm going crazy here.
You're still there.
Let me get the one question up from Aisha. Buddy Holly was one of the first recording artists to multi-track. 55 to 59. He opened for Elvis in 55. So that's just a kind of a little statement there.
Yeah.
Probably that was for you, Vernon. So I don't know.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Aisha.
But what do you think? Oh, there was another question. That's I was going to ask too. Are you planning on doing any concert tour, or is this too early for you to?
I would love to. It's I'm hoping that some opportunities come where I can go further out from the Dallas area as well. It's one of those things. It's like, I just hope from being on the show that you can make some connections that can enable you to do that.
Right.
So far, the last few years, it's just been in the Dallas Fort Worth area around here, which is probably an hour radius from where I live, which is amazing. There's so many venues, and the venues and agents have been fantastic. Such great to work with in the last few years. But, naturally you do want to kind of go further out and play to new audiences. So I really hope that opportunity presents itself, as a result of being on the show.
Yeah, I mean that. I hopefully it will. It's just a matter. I've noticed some start doing it. After the show is over, they start a little they do a little tour. Sometimes with some of the other artists on the show, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just really all depends. But you are in a good metropolitan area.
Yes.
So that helps.
Definitely.
I mean, some of these artists they're in a very small town in the middle of nowhere, so they don't get as many opportunities. So
that's true. Yeah. No, it's been a blessing to be here, because in the UK, in London, I did hundreds of gigs, but it was very difficult because you can't gig every week because you lose the fan base, and it was kind of a pay to play thing where you had to buy tickets and sell them. But here it's not like that. Thankfully, most of the venues, they love live music here in Dallas and Texas, and they support it so well, and it's been a fantastic place. When I moved here, that wasn't even a thought in my head at all. And then I realized, wow, there's so many venues and new venues opening all the time, and a lot of booking agents who are very supportive, and working with them has been amazing.
Yeah, because you used to,
go ahead,
Mike.
No, go ahead.
No, you used to practice law as well, eh? So I
practice. Yeah, I didn't practice it, but that was what I studied at university. It was, back then, being in the UK and having music as a dream, my parents were very supportive of my musical endeavors, but at the same time, they said, you should have something behind you, and the opportunity was there to go to university, so I took it, and I studied that, but I never pursued it as a career. So I have the degree, and it's in a frame somewhere. It used to be framed in our bedroom randomly on the side, but it's maybe I'll put it up again. But yeah, it's I look back on those years and I think I'm glad that I did it, because finish what you started, and I definitely think it taught me how to read and analyze things and kind of think things from both sides. So it definitely kind of helped develop my personality, even though it was many years ago now. I'm 37. This was age 19 to 22.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, that can be a little while, but I'm sure that's going to help you when you have to look over contracts and all that.
Yeah, definitely. The language is, the language in a lot of contracts is, legalese. It's a lot of kind of legal terminology that is actually very similar here as it is in the UK. So being able to understand that a little better than I did before, or it's definitely a bonus.
That would be then, because so you don't get
Right.
get in trouble with some contract you thought it meant something and it didn't. So,
Right. Exactly.
yeah. So
I'd still get a lawyer though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. But at least you can look it over first, and then
right. Yeah.
questions you can.
I don't trust myself enough to
to do what you're saying. Yeah.
Stop
You
practicing.
can look it over and
Yeah.
go, I don't know what this says. I
Yeah.
have no idea. So,
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was going to tell people in the chat room, we got about another 5-10 minutes left. If you do have a question, please post it. If I have skipped your question, it might be because he already answered it, but I will try to go over some of the other ones. I'll have to throw this because we were talking about this. If you do any concerts, you're going to come to Britain?
I think, if the opportunity arises where, I can go there and there's people coming to see you. Absolutely. I'm open to doing a show anywhere. I wouldn't just randomly kind of fly there and just hope people show up. So I think it's more like if you knew that people were actually wanting to come and see you live there. Absolutely. That's my home. And I would absolutely love to do that. Played hundreds of shows there and busked on the underground, probably to thousands of people in London as they walk past and they drop their spare change. So yeah, we've got a lot of love and a lot of, amazing memories there. So yeah, I'd love to go back there and play.
Yeah, I'm sure your fans that you might have had 10 years ago are saying, oh, look, he's on The Voice.
Yeah, maybe if they remember me. Yeah, I didn't have the mustache or anything like that. I had short hair. So
so they wouldn't. You don't think they'd recognize you?
I don't know if they'd recognize, especially with the accent now. They probably think he's someone else.
He's someone totally different.
Someone else. Yeah, for sure.
Well, you never know.
Yeah.
Vernon, do you have any closing questions or?
No, I mean, it's Danny. We just appreciate your time and really like everything that you've put in. You deserve just all of the good things.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And we wish a lot more for you, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep my eyes fixed on just your journey on The Voice.
Thank you.
And then obviously onwards as well. And may you be a shining light and continue to be a shining light.
Thank you.
And it's just definitely that method. So I'm very much excited to hear what you have for us next. And maybe just a little one I'll throw in there is, do you have some of your materials available on streaming platforms and so on?
Yeah, I do. I have a few songs I recorded and produced and mixed myself on Spotify. Hoping to release more. There's some technical problems with my studio right now that we haven't been able to figure out. So I haven't been able to release anything for a while. So I need to actually get someone to look into it. But yeah, there's a few songs I've done, kind of produced myself on Spotify and Apple Music. You just search Danny Joseph, it should come up.
Awesome. And where can people catch you on social media?
Instagram, Danny Joseph Official. Same thing on TikTok, Facebook. It'll be Danny Joseph Official. If you type Danny Joseph Official on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, I should be the first one that comes up. Just look for my picture. It's a guy with a mustache. So
yeah,
that's me. Yeah.
Nice.
And you also have your webpage, DannyJosephOfficial.
Yep.com. Yeah, my webpage, which has a list of all my live shows in the area.
Which is cool. So everyone, keep watching The Voice. We're all rooting for you, Danny.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
So I'm hoping that happens.
Thank you.
Everyone in the chat room, thank you for coming.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
If you're watching us after live, please go and like, subscribe, follow his pages, our pages, and so you don't miss anything. And Danny, I'd like to officially ask that if you'd love to come back, we would love to have you back later in the show this year.
Please
or
do.
After the show is all done and you just want to chit chat about what's going on with you. We'd love
to love to be back. Thank you, guys.
Take it easy, Danny. Everyone else, on behalf of myself and Vernon, see you next time.
Bye.